Good morning, everybody. Where's Dennis? How are we all doing? Everybody good? Life is good?
Life's
So
great.
today we are talking about building teams, right? And the structure of teams. And so for people who want to grow their business and actually turn their real estate business into a business, right? Trey, we got Bobby in there, and we got Wendy Ross could come in. That'd be nice. And Matt Battiati's there, and I see Crystal, and I see Dave. Romper Room. You guys remember Romper Room? Anybody old enough? Remember that stuff? Yeah. Yeah. Cameron's like, what? What are you talking about? That was like from the 1960s. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about teams. So I'm gonna start with I'll start with Karina because she's always cool. So Karina, I know you're in the middle of building a team right now. So let's talk a little about teams and how you're structuring that and what your goal is.
Okay, so good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, I guess, depends on your time zone. So I have always wanted to put a team together, but the idea of a traditional team wasn't very exciting to me. I think every realtor works very hard for their deals, and the idea of taking their commission or partial of their commission, even with me coaching them and supporting them, wasn't very attractive to myself. I wanted to create an environment where I could bring in agents of all levels, help them level up from where they already are. If they were struggling, we could put them into a group where everybody could help each other. So that's where people would actually elevate themselves and start helping the others that maybe were a little bit further, earlier on into their career, had a particular issue. So I've now created the Lotus Group with EXP, and it's just that we're bringing in amazing agents from all over, and they're coming in, and we're able to do special training with them. I have them jumping on the Brian Moses training, of course, as well, and really teaching them how to go create a lot of their own lead gen, because so many realtors I've found have been dependent upon brokers or other sources for their leads. And that does not make them successful at the end, because at the end, you need to know how to go collect your own water and drink it, right? So the lead gen where it's being handed to you is great, but it's more important for me to make sure that they are self-sufficient at the end and taking them to the next level that they want to go to. So we go through, all of their goals, dreams, wishes, and desires in real estate, and how do we hit that together? So I really like this. For me, this was the model that I had been wanting to put together for a very long time.
Yeah, it's great. And you'll find there's so many different types of teams out there these days. And I've done pretty much what you've done, Karina. My whole thing was I just, I've been very blessed in my life and, financially and with amazing friends, most of them on here. And I get to, influence other people's lives. And I think that's kind of one of those things that you get to do when you're doing that. It's not a financial thing as much as it's a how do I contribute? Because I find, what's the old Zig Ziglar line? If you help enough people get what you want, what they want, you'll get what you want. And that's what you're doing there. Let's go up to Mr. Cam. Cam, every time I see you, I kind of get aggravated in person because you don't look 6'5" in here. You look, like a normal sized person. And then we get together and play golf, you're like beating the crap out of me. It's not fair.
That's too funny. That's too funny. Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone's doing good, staying busy. I think for a lot of us, we have to realize and step back and ask ourselves why we're building a team, right? Typically, it's because we're trying to generate more revenue with less work. We're trying to grow without, managing our time or optimizing our time. And we can actually grow our revenue without spending more time or even spending less time through our systems. I think the most important thing to consider when you're deciding to start out on your team, if you're a new agent or a solo agent and you're just building a team, is you have to decide what you have to offer team members, right? I think that's really important, is that we step back real quickly. Everyone here on the panel, obviously, we've been doing this quite a while. We have teams already going, but as a solo agent, which is with most of the participants that have been on these calls and you're just starting up your own team, you have to step back and go, what do I have to offer a potential agent to join EXP, to join my team, to help them. And Kareen, I think you were just saying that a lot of folks get stuck in the trap where they say, well, we'll provide you leads. And then when they stop providing leads, the people leave and go some other brokerage or some other team. So that's a trap that you fall into. For example, one thing that we're working on right now, we have a team that's out in Cincinnati, and his goal for us when he joined is he wanted to start multiple teams in multiple states. He wanted his team in Cincinnati to be doing great and continue producing the revenue and continue doing the sales up there. But his goal and his family's goal was he wanted to move down here to Florida. So with that known, that was his goal. And that's exactly how we set it up for him, is that he grew his team in Cincinnati to a 6-person team. And you do that the same way that you're doing buyers and listings and all of the prospecting, is you start reaching out to other agents that are, possibly looking to join a team with your assistance and with your help. Now, the person up in Ohio that we're talking about here, he specializes in investments. He is an amazing agent that works with tons of investors, and they do flips. So he has opportunities with leads and that type of thing to offer those agents. Maybe if that's not your forte, or you're not buying a ton of leads, you have to remember that EXP, not only are we an amazing company if you're here with us at EXP, but there is so much to offer people that could be with a different brokerage, just at the EXP base model. So keep that in mind. If you feel like, well, hey, I don't have a whole bunch of money to give leads, not only do you have EXP, but then remember, you guys, you have us, the tribe, you have everyone here to lean back on as well. And our goal is to help your team grow as well. Our biggest thing right now, just so that everyone knows, is we have partnered to be able to provide leads across to all of our different teams through our mortgage partnerships. The other thing is, and that the reason that it's really helping our teams grow, is that the team leaders are able to actually earn a small percentage on the mortgage side as well. So it gives them incentive to bring their team over, give them more leads that we're providing to them, and then close them. And that is really helping us grow our teams across the country. The other thing that's really exciting, guys, and I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time, the other thing you have to keep in mind too is you can become a nationwide team. You don't have to just be secular to your area. That's really exciting. It's something that not many people have capitalized and really taken advantage of. But your goal, if you want it to be, really should be, you can start this. For example, ours is the Smith Group here in Southwest Florida. You can have the Smith Group in any state or any country that you want if you're using the EXP brokerage system, which is so exciting. But that's really it, you guys. You have to find out what your unique proposition is. If you feel like, hey, I'm a new solo agent and I don't have that yet, that's okay. You can lean back on us. That's what we're here for. We're here to provide the training. We're here to provide all of the motivation and all the systems that maybe you don't even had. We're providing them to you as well. And then obviously you can fall back on the amazing EXP model if that is who you're currently brokered with. So those are my big things. So I think with that, we can have a great conversation. And I'm really excited to hear Brian and some of your guys' other more in-depth strategies.
That's cool. And obviously, a part of what Kim said about us helping everybody, it's really about making stupid jokes. So my goal is to make everybody laugh at least once per day. And that's the only value I bring to this group. And I look like this, so you have to be funny. Let's go to Mr. Lurch, because Mr. Lurch has built a phenomenal team up in there. And I think you're finally getting warm up there. You can play golf now, right?
Yeah, actually played recently. So yeah, still played like a bad plumber, but plumber's not bad. It's just, it's not good. So in my world. So, hey, by the way, Bobby, hey, hold on.
Craig, I've seen you play and it's not called playing. I don't know what it's called, but you don't.
Okay, but I have fun. I get my money's worth. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. So, hey, by the way, Bobby and Pete, you forgot to send us the MO on the Tiffany blue jackets today.
Right.
You guys are looking very, very, very dapper. So
that's their faded Century 21 jackets.
There you go. Here it comes. Pete's coming in.
Yeah, I got the memo late. I'm just trying to keep up with Bobby. His hair's perfectly coiffed and everything. Mine's kind of all over the place, but that's why I'm just trying to emulate him. That's why I'm wearing the same colors.
There you go. Hey, getting back to teams. I had a big team in the past. How I function my team now is really just giving referrals to the people that are in my organization. If people are struggling because they don't have leads, I'm not really just feeding them. I'm trying to teach them how to work it more, and how I'm doing it and trying to help build more leads for the people within my organization and myself is working KV Core. It's one of the best tools we've got there. It's a Ferrari. We need to use it. I keep going back to it. Some of us use that. Some of us use other ones. But the point is this is something that's literally free. I'm going to say free for the cost through EXP. And what I'm doing is I'm teaching people how to generate their own leads. While I'm giving them leads, they're giving referrals back, because I want people to build themselves, because people leave teams for two reasons. We've talked about it. One, they believe that they're too big for the team that they're on, and they don't feel like paying the split and doing whatever. Or two is that they're struggling because they're not doing the work they should be doing. And Mitch has said that before. It's not a matter of the system sucks, you suck. You're not doing the work. Sorry if that offended anybody, but truth is, it is what it is. Our problem is if you don't have leads, we're all living in a privileged world that we don't have to. If you function like your electric's getting shut off, your phone's getting shut off, you will go find leads. That's the deal. That's the difference. When our pain is great enough to change, you're going to change and find leads versus sitting there sucking your thumb saying, oh, people aren't coming to me. So sorry to say that for people that are on teams or trying to build teams, when you've got enough leads and you're referring them out and getting them and you're losing them and things like that, that's when you should build your team. And like I said last week, when all these guys were at shareholders, my biggest thing is all of us are part of your team. Lean on us, call us. All your mortgage lenders, all your home inspectors, all your dry cleaners, all your housekeepers, all your stagers, they're part of your team. Put them into a marketing piece to show that you're a big peacock with the plume behind you, even though you're not liable for them. All right. One of the great lines I heard somebody say the other day, not my monkey, not my circus. I used to go home with a lot of smelly, dirty monkeys at night to sleep with. You know why? It was the agents on my team that weren't doing what they were supposed to do, and I had to own the problem because I'm the team leader. That's not part of it. If you're trying to build the team, lay it out that you understand that everybody has responsibilities, everybody has a process, everybody needs to know where they're going. All right, because if not, all they're going to do is suck your blood out and you're going to get distracted from what you want to be. What do you want to be in the future? How do you want to help people what they want to be in the future? And they don't need to be physically on your team while being around you and being part of your team. So that's my long story. It's kind of a preach, but that's why I don't have a big team anymore. I don't want to have everybody's monkey coming home with me.
I want to touch on that real quick, and then we're going to go over to Wendy because she's always smiling, and I love Wendy's smile. She's like, I think she's almost as happy as I am, which is really weird. No one's ever as happy as me. But you know, the biggest thing about building a team is not being sucked into being a babysitter. And that's really the hardest part of, you know, but everybody on this call has learned that lesson that, you know, we build a team, we bring on brand new agents, 86% of them fail always, regardless of how good you are as a team leader. So really be very, very choosy. My favorite line in bringing agents in is hire slow, really, really slow, and fire instantly, not quickly, instantly, because they'll become a cancer and turn your whole team apart. Wendy, tell us about your stuff.
I could not agree more. And what Craig said, I'm in the same place. I had a massive team back in 08, 09, 10 during the bloodbath, and it was exhausting and it sucked the life out of me. And I had to like really own, I don't like training people. I don't like it. And that is a massive piece of why I'm here at EXP, because now I don't have to. Now they can plug and play and they can go in and I just can supervise that they're actually doing their own work. So it's perfect for me. So now for the first time in 15 years, I'm willing to start building a team again because those monkeys can go home with you and it's not fun. No. So yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, and what you're going to find here, honestly, especially, you know, you're going to have some of the younger guys that are still building teams and all that stuff. The people have been around for a little bit. We've all had teams. And now, you know, teams are not very profitable and a lot of work, but, you know, they're good for your ego. They make you feel good. So, if, you know, depends on where you want to be. And by the way, you can have profitable teams. We all know that, right? It's just a matter of, I found my best time when I had a team, when I first started my team, me and 4 or 5 agents. That was the best team. When I got bigger than that, it wasn't fun anymore. Bobby, let's
Mitch, can I say something real quick? Mitch, let me jump in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why do we build teams? We're building teams to leverage ourselves in our actions to create income that is producing while we're not there, or while we're sleeping, or while we're on vacation, or while we have a hiccup in our families. That is what we're doing, like taking care of a sick family member for 6 months. You have that opportunity in EXP. It's not for everybody. There's 12% of the company. Instead of building a team, maybe you work more on the attraction of the XP instead, and you keep doing your business and you build a support staff around you. But remember the reason why you're building a team. Is it for ego, or is it for leverage to create more income, to give you more freedom to get out of having a job and having a business? But remember, as things grow and as you change, you're going to have to mold like a lobster. Like I've showed you guys Larry the Lobster before. It's not comfortable, but we have that tool that if you don't want a big team, but you want to create income, it's there. So sorry for jumping in. Just wanted to throw that again.
You're good. You get Bobby. You probably run the biggest team here, out of all of us. So tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you know, you and I've had these conversations, so I know it's go for it.
Well, I will say your comment about it being profitable is definitely a limiting belief. I think all teams can be successful. It really comes down to having a good budget and staying within that budget. But then as a team leader, also understanding that as the rainmaker, you are the lead gen king. You have to be the one that is constantly thinking about leads. I mean, literally, I am obsessed with the lead gen process. I did another webinar this morning with another company that, promises the world and all this stuff. But anyways, long story short, it's not just the money, it's your time. For me, the reason why I wanted to build a team is I wanted to get some of my time back, and I wanted to leverage myself a little bit more, because I got to the point where, my most profitable years, it was me, one agent, and 3 assistants. Now, but the problem with that is I worked my ass off, and I was constantly working the weekends, and I just didn't want to do that anymore. As my kids were getting a little older, I found myself wanting to spend a lot more time. So it really comes down to, what are you trying to get with a team? And the first thing I'll say is, if you have a scarcity mindset, then a team's not for you, because most people, if they have that scarcity mindset, they're not going to be like, oh, hey, here you go, here's a lead, and give that to your agents. And people kind of they want to hoard all the leads for themselves, and then they expect the team leader or the team member to go out there and just do it on their own, which we know is a difficult task. I had the benefit of growing up on Pete's team over 22 years ago. I started brand new in the business with Mr. Middleton. And so we go way back, and I got to learn how to build a team the right way. There were some mistakes we made, but for the most part, we did a lot of good things. One of the mistakes I think we made was trying to grow too fast. If you bring on 10 members and you don't have enough infrastructure or enough leads to support those members, you're just going to have turnover, and it's going to be very frustrating. So, I've heard the term a couple times, babysitting. We don't want to be babysitting, of course, and we certainly don't want to put that message out there for team members out there. But at the same time, team members tend to waste some time here and there, and so they're focused on the wrong things. They're focused on like that one deal they have, instead of saying, okay, I have a deal in escrow, who's my next person? And so I think as a good team leader, we have to make sure that from a production standpoint, we are all over our people. We give them structure. The way that I've built my team is, it all started with Adam. Him and I would basically be on the phone. I would book appointments. They would come into the office. We would do a planning session if they were a buyer. If there was a listing, we would go to the house. And basically I would let him run it after that first meeting. So for example, I would sit down with somebody, do a planning session for a buy side, and I'd go through the whole process, and then I would say something like this. Hey, I'm curious, when you go to the mall and you walk into Nordstrom, are you the type that wants to be catered to and have people sell you a bunch of stuff, or are you the type that just wants to go through and just be left alone and look on your own? They always say, look on my own. I don't like when people are all over me. And so I say, great. That's our strategy as well. We don't like to push. We're not going to be selling you. But we do. So for that reason, you don't really need me at the showings. My superpower is negotiating contracts. And that's what I do better than anything. That's what I do all day long. That's my number one task. And so Adam here is going to take you out on all these, go out and look at these properties. Him and I are going to find properties for you. We're going to reach out to all of our agent friends and find off-market properties, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, he'll open up the doors. Once you find a property you like, you got to let Adam know right in the property, because Adam will take a video of the property and then he's going to send it to me. Now, the first thing you do, we're going to do when you leave the office here, we're going to put the three of us on a text message chain. That way we can all communicate, because if I just say, hand it off to Adam, especially if it's a friend of mine, and here you go, Adam, and then I step away, chances are Adam might struggle to get that done because they're going to feel abandoned. So you got to make sure you're still part of the process. Now you do that with one agent, and then you got another agent. Trisha, here you go, Trisha, here's another lead. Let's go ahead and share this one. And so now I've got, you know, all these people, you know, I've got about 10 producing agents and another 3 or 4 that are trying to get going. You know, the 10 producing agents, that's kind of how we do it. We do the presentations here at the office. I don't do as many presentations anymore, because from a team structure, just to kind of give you a quick idea of what the team looks like now, I have 2 team leaders. They get basically they get a small percentage of each deal that is done. And you know, and I did that because I wanted more help. I don't want this to be a 1-star show. I've taken my name off of my business. It's no longer Bobby Martin's Realty Group or Martin's Realty Group. Now it's Move Up San Diego. So now we're building a brand, and it's not just about me. And so I've slowly been taking myself out of the equation. That way I can build through the team. So let's see, the other thing I had there. You know, when it comes to lead gen, if you don't have leads coming in, it's going to be very difficult for you to scale. But you know, the thing that I really promote is open houses. I mean, we sold 2 sides this last weekend from open houses. So it does work. I mean, we sell a lot from open houses. It's probably our #1 lead source outside of sphere of influence. So if you're not utilizing your open houses, then that's a mistake. And then us as team leaders, we got to look at, okay, what aren't we doing on a day-to-day basis? And why aren't we doing it? So for example, door knocking around a listing, calling that listing, those are all things that we know we should do, but we don't have the time as team leaders. And that's how you can leverage yourself with a team member, is really honing in on that one thing. So if you have a large team, obviously you should be able to hit every single listing. So that's some of the main points. I will turn it over to you guys. And by the way, it was great seeing you all in Orlando. Had a lot of fun with you, especially you, Mitch, playing some golf.
You got a lot of fun, yeah. And I'm glad I beat everybody really bad. I don't think I did actually, but
it was a tie.
Yeah, it was
a tie. Let's put that on our record.
I did have my 195-yard drives working really well for me. So Dennis, you built one of the biggest teams, Remax teams in California, if I remember correctly. So let's talk a little bit about teams with you.
Yeah. So, you know, the team was as big as 15 people at one time. Now it's down to about 5. But, you know, I think you'll hear a common theme here is a lot of these teams that are really not profitable. I was profitable, but a lot of them aren't. So what I always recommend to an agent that's a top producer that's doing really well is to maybe not start a team, just get a really good assistant or 2, or maybe just one agent that can help out with some showings. Okay. And then you can keep it really tight, really profitable. So there's a lot of, the way I built my team is I really generated a lot of leads, right? That was my glue that made everybody stick with me, because I generated leads. If I didn't have leads, why were they with me? That was my mindset. I don't know if it's a limiting mindset, but that's what I believed, and that's what worked for me. So the best part of a team for me is that just the freedom that it gave. I could be in Europe, for instance, and we'd sell 4 houses while I'm on a 2-week vacation. That was kind of a nice feeling, and I'm getting half of that money, right? But there comes a lot of work with that, right? You're recruiting agents. You're constantly recruiting agents to your team. You're running ads. You're training them. You're running team meetings. So there's quite a bit to it. I'm actually really excited because Brian Moses is on here. He probably ran really the best team I've ever seen, right? Number 2, a Coldwell Banker selling hundreds of homes in Nashua. So, and Brian really ran a different kind of team. I'll let him talk about that, where he had multiple employees in different positions. I never ran my team like that. I ran it pretty tight, pretty profitable, where I just had basically 1 assistant, 1 inside salesperson, and a bunch of agents that went out and showed. it might not be the exact best way to do it, but it worked for me. So, but you know, it is adult daycare, right? So a lot of times, especially in a shifting market, when it gets a little slower like it is now, you get a lot of agents complaining and they're just not selling like they were. And, you know, it gets a little tough. So trying to think what else, you know, team contracts, the worst thing, you know, I'll talk about some of the things that aren't great about running a team is when an agent leaves, right? I've had agents that stayed with me for 6-7 years and they end up going on their own. All those leads that I gave them that end up being future sales for them because they sold a house, turns into a listing later. I get nothing for that, right? That's just wasted money out the door. And that always irked me. You can't really go after them. Technically you could, you have a contract, but good luck with that, right? So that was always kind of an issue with me with running a team. So I really like, you know, the model of the company that we're in, where you could grow a national, international team with really a lot less headaches, put it that way. So, but yeah, that's what I have to say.
That's why we're all here, right? Yeah. So, you know, Dennis, and you know, one of the things, you know, the common theme here, by the way, is leads, right? But if you're going to have leads, and everybody on this call knows this, if you don't have the proper systems in place to convert leads, then you're just wasting your time and money too. And we find a lot of agents and a lot of team leaders will spend a lot of time and money on leads, giving them to their agents, getting very frustrated because the agents don't work leads. Of course, none of you on this call don't work leads. I know you all work your leads perfectly. But if you don't have the right systems in place as a team leader, before you start your team, you have to have the processes in place, or you're just spinning your wheels. Let's go up to Brian to tag on with Dennis. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mitch. So I wrote down some notes, and you know, today with the EXP model, knowing what I know now, I would never embark on trying to build a team today. However, if that is your goal, it can be very profitable. It's just 10 times more work than agent attraction at EXP. My team was a 50-50 split. Your agent expense will always be your biggest expense in running a team. So 50% of every dollar that came in sold by my team was paid to the agents. There's no expense more than that. Salaries were lower, brick and mortar were lower, technology was lower. Agent expense is a big, massive expense. Dennis used the comment of, you know, I got 50% when I was in Europe, but what I learned in having a team is you didn't get 50%, you're giving 50% of your commissions away to your team. Meaning Dennis could have sold those houses. And the reason that that's important to look at is your team members are not going to produce at your level. They're not going to convert at your level. They're going to lose business. I gave slam dunk leads to my team members and they flushed them right down the toilet. So I didn't give them 50%. I gave away 100% because I got nothing from it. So don't think that the grass is, you know, there's an old saying, the grass is greener where you water it. But if you're committed to building a team and that's what you want to do, I want to help you do it. So I would say rule number one, you need to be kicking ass yourself. You need to be doing 40 or 50 deals yourself, predictably, reliably, consistently, to demonstrate proficiency and expertise so that you can add value to the people that come to you. Bigger isn't better. I agree with Dennis. I had a team of 28 agents that did 417 deals. I had a team of 8 agents that did 427 deals. Guess which one was more profitable? When I got pissed off about the waste and the lack of standards and the lack of commitment, my profit went through the roof. Wasteful expenses went way down. I would say start with an admin. I agree with Dennis. You know, grow your personal production. Get an admin to free up your time so that you can go out and do more deals. Once you've maximized that opportunity, then I started with 3 buyer agents, not 1, because if you're going to train and cultivate and nurture 1, you might as well do 3, because if 1 leaves and you only have 1, now you got 0. So start with 3. I think that's a good tip. And model other businesses. Don't think like a real estate agent. Real estate agents don't think like business people. If you're running a team, you need to think like a business person, and you need to have standards. At any other company or profession in the world, if you worked in an organization, they would have roles and responsibilities. They would have minimum standards. So you should have minimum standards. My minimum standards were that you were going to learn our scripts, that you were going to attend our team meetings, that you were going to do 2 open houses every month, that you were going to use our listing presentation, that you'd use our database and follow our systems and process for our database. That all buyers you work with sign an exclusive buyer agency agreement. Let's see. Think about everything that would drive you crazy. And that goes into the minimum standards. Dress code. I remember hiring an agent. I thought she was great. And she came in on her first showing to show buyers homes wearing a tank top and Daisy Duke shorts. And I'm like, what the F? So we put a dress code into our minimum standards. Determine your ideal client profile. So as a real estate agent, you have external customers, buyers and sellers. As a team leader, you now have internal customers, which is your team. So what does your ideal team member look like? What's their profile? How much experience do they have? Personally, I loved rookies. I liked people that knew nothing about real estate because my training was on point and I would teach them the right way to do it, the best practices, and they'd embrace it and not fight me. However, if your training is not on point and you don't have it figured out yourself and you're not killing it, I was selling 100 houses a year before I hired my first buyer's agent. So you might want veteran agents. You should have interview questions because the most expensive mistake you'll make in your business is a bad hire. Fortune 500 magazine says one bad hire will cost a corporation over $100,000 in lost compensation. So I created interview questions to solicit people's values, such as, what are your long-range aspirations? If they go, well, I want to be you, I might think twice about hiring that person. I might not want to hire somebody, train them so that they can go out and be my competitor. What does your current work week look like? How many hours a week do you work? Well, I come in around 11 after I drop my kids off to school, and then I take lunch with my girlfriends at the country club, and then I go pick my kids up at 3. That's not going to work for me. So, what kind of hours do you generally work? When you ask these open-ended questions, you're getting great information about their values at an unconscious level. What do you say when someone tells you no thanks, or I'm not ready, or I'm not looking? Test them, quiz them, see what type of persistence they have. If they go, okay, I'll call you next week, I'll call you in a month. Not for me. I want somebody with an assertive personality and says, well, what if this, or what if that? So I'll ask those types of questions in an interview question. What's the best book you've read in the last 2 years? And if they are a deer in the headlights, they don't really invest in themselves. They're not really a learner. They're not a grower. They're probably not going to be a good member for my team. Is there anything that would prevent you from showing up consistently in your work life? Anything personal, any challenges that you're having? I remember hiring somebody. The person was pregnant. I didn't know she was pregnant. I hired her. 3 weeks later, she's like, okay, see you later. I'm taking 3 months off. I'm like, holy shit. I just spent 3 weeks investing 80 hours in training into you. And what would I have wanted to know before I hired them? So I've created some interview questions. So those are some quick down and dirty tips for team building.
Mitch, you're muted.
That just goes back to what we were talking about, Brian, on with regard to hire really slowly, right? I mean, it's so important to make sure that your hire is correct. And by the way, I know some of us are talking negative here about teams, and I wanted, thanks, Bobby. But the reality is teams are great. My opinion, and what you're finding here is a lot of us did the big teams, and then we shrunk down to small teams because they're profitable. When I had my 5-agent team plus me, I made more than my 120 agent brokerage. Right? I mean, I'm not talking a little more. I made a lot more money being a team of 5 than it was a brokerage of 120. And I had a life, like Dennis said, you could take off, you could do things, you could enjoy your life. Let's get to Mr. Surfer guy, Matt Badiati. And Matt's got, runs one of the best businesses in the country. Tell us a little bit your thoughts, Matt.
Well, my thoughts are, first of all, I love what everybody said, and I agree with a lot of things. What I wanted to point out is there really are multiple formats to have a team. So I always tell the story that, years ago, I had a big team when we were doing tons and tons of short sales. And, I was making money, but that's because I was still in production. So if I had taken myself out of production and just been a manager, I would have gone broke, right? So, I think it can be difficult depending on your expenses. It can be difficult to even make money with a team on a 50-50 split. So there's multiple different ways to have a team. What I have under EXP at the moment is what they call a self-organized team. And I kind of took a page, Mitch, out of your playbook when I joined EXP. A self-organized team at EXP means everybody's on the exact same split. It's an 80-20 split capped at 16 grand a year. And if I have a lead, I give them out a lead and they pay me a referral fee, right? I could say we're going to partner on it. It's going to be 50-50. But there are multiple ways to have teams. And so this is something I want to point out for everybody on this call that wants to have a team. And there's nothing wrong with having a team as long as it is profitable. So another way that you can have a team is, first of all, what is our business? It's working with buyers and working with sellers. Okay. When I used to have a team, I said, well, I'm going to take all the listings because I can go on a listing appointment. It takes me a couple hours. I got to drive there. I got to take the listing and come back. And if I can make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, that's a pretty good use of my time. But then I realized, it's not really just a couple hours of my time, is it? It's, I got to, get the house on the market. I got to sell it. I got to talk to the seller and counsel them for the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. It's a big chunk out of your life, especially when you get, which we all get. I used to think like, do I have a corner on the market of crazy difficult people? Because it seems like I do sometimes, right? So I realized, it's a lot more than a couple hours out of my time. So I thought, I got to the point of saying, I want to have a listing agent, right? Now, I hear people saying, well, I have a listing agent and they're on a 50-50 split. No, you can have a listing agent on an 85-15 split. You can have a listing agent on a 75-25 split, meaning the listing agent takes the listing, they get 25%, or they get 15%, or they get 20%. That's a really good model, number one. So that's on the listing side. On the buyer side, you don't necessarily have to have buyer's agents you can, and they're going to be on a 50-50 split, but you can also have showing agents, like I think Bobby was mentioning. And, you can pay showing agents, if you really want to, a salary, but you can also put them on a much lower split, as long as you have the business to generate for them. And so I think that's a really important point. At the same time, we are, as everyone's saying, we're in the lead generation business. So if you want to have a team, if you're not, and I've fallen in the trap in the past of saying, look, I'm going to generate all these leads for everybody. And then what inevitably happens is you hear, hey, how come there aren't more leads? These leads suck, And I've gone through the whole, gamut of, all right, you guys aren't following up on the leads. And I'm not trying to be negative, by the way. So I'm going to have an ISA, an inside sales agent who's going to convert the leads. I'm going to generate the leads. I'm going to convert the leads. I'm going to give you the leads. And Pete was telling a funny story the other day when we were in Orlando, like talking to agents saying, why don't I generate the lead, convert the lead? Then I'll take the lead out. I'll put them into escrow, and then I can just pay you a commission. How would that work? So again, I'm not trying to be negative, but there are just different ways to do it. And the most important thing, and that's why I elected to have a self-organized team, is if I have overflow leads, I would be happy to refer them to you. But what I really want to help you do is generate and convert your own leads, because you're never going to be successful in this business if you can't generate and convert your own leads. And by the way, EXP has a ton of training and resources. They have the Making It Rain program to generate leads. And I feel like in our company, EXP, we all get so busy that we don't avail ourselves of all the training and lead gen and so forth that EXP offers. And so I think that's a really important thing to remember. If anybody on this call is not generating enough leads, doesn't have enough business, you're not paying attention, because there are ways to generate it. So.
Cool. Yeah, there's always ways to generate leads. Let's go down to Pete, and then we'll do Randy. Pete, you run a successful team out of La Jolla, which I'll be in San Diego on the 21st, 22nd of June. Can't wait to go there and hang out and see my fellow peeps that I don't get to play with too often. So Pete, talk about your team.
The Mitch Ribak National Tour. I like that. He's like a traveling band, you guys. He's coming to a city near you sometime soon. Yeah, I think when it comes down to teams, I just want to give some tips, because I know this is about team development. And if you're going to start a team or look at starting a team, I think the number one thing, and everybody said a lot of great comments and information. I've been taking some notes, so I appreciate what everybody else has said. I think it's extremely valuable. And you guys have to remember, we have a combined number of years on here of trial and error that will save you a lot of money. But the number one thing you have to look at first is you have to have a clear understanding of why you want to start a team or why you need a team, and you have to have clarity on what that's going to look like. That's the first step. The second step is to really have a value proposition. Why would people join your team? Is there a need on your behalf, or is there a need on their behalf? So I think you have to look at that. Most people join teams because they don't have enough business, or they're trying to learn, right? So you have to have a really good training program, or a program where you're constantly helping them evolve in their business from a learning process. Then after that, they want to join your team because you have a little more experience, or your name's out there, your branding. So they want to leverage. These are the 3 L's. They want to leverage your brand and your business in order for them to get their own business or to create business. And then lastly, they want to last. They want to last in the business, because without you, they may not make it. So you have to be careful, because a lot of people come to you and ask to join your team because it's their last chance. And you have to really be disciplined on who is going to align with me and who isn't, who's going to show up, what is their work ethic like. I just said this to my team the other day at our team meeting. I said it comes down to this acronym, AMC. That's what it really comes down to, AMC. A stands for attitude, because attitude is everything. M stands for mindset. What is your mindset? And C stands for commitment. How committed are you at being successful? Because if they don't have those 3 elements, you could have all the leads in the world, you could have all the best systems in the world, and guess what? They're not going to succeed. And I can guarantee you one thing, in our society nowadays, and don't even get me started, this will probably get Bobby all fired up. People don't like to take accountability or responsibility for their actions. They're going to blame you. And then say, I can't look in the mirror. I have no mirrors in my house. I'm just going to project onto you that I didn't make it because of you, or your systems, or your team, or how you run things, or your lead generation, or your open houses. I'm not trying to be negative, you guys. I'm trying to really share with you the mindset of agents that are looking to join you if you're going to start a team. Now, I've loved teams. I've had teams for a long time, because I love when people around me win. I love winning through others. It really creates a dynamic legacy for me. And now you know why I had Bobby. He upped my hair game. He upped my color game on my suits, right? So he brought a lot of value to me. And, I've carried that to this day. But, we all learn together. Nobody knows everything. And a great friend of mine, Gail DeMarco, gave me a great saying. She said, every decision you make in real estate, whether it's personal or team-based, are you doing it for income, or are you doing it for ego? Every decision should be based that way. Am I making this decision because it benefits my income, or am I making this decision because it strokes my ego? And a lot of people start teams and get involved in teams because it's all ego-based. It's very significant, you guys. So you have to really look at it. when it comes to teams, here are my tips on teams. As Brian was saying, you know, you have to be doing a certain amount of business first and foremost before you have that need. Second of all, you have to get a rock star administration assistant or right-hand person. That is your first hire. So I know everybody always asks, how do you build a great team? That's the first hire, in my opinion. I'm just sharing my feelings on years and years and years of trial and error. Now, that person is never that easy to find, but they're out there. So you have to have clarity on what they look like and what you're willing to do and what you need them to do. You can't hire somebody who's exactly like you. You can't hire somebody to do the things that you already like doing. You have to hire somebody to do all the things that you don't want to do. And you have to paint it out and you have to manifest that person. And then you have to pay them well. But you also have to set up parameters on how it works and how you work together. I would first get that vibe down, that you and them working hand in hand so that they can almost complete your sentences. They know exactly what you need, and they basically take care of you in order for you to do what you do best with the time that you have. That's the number one hire. If you don't have that and you hire buyer's agents prior to that, it may work for a while, but you'll never have a top producing team. It is impossible. I'm just telling you, and people may disagree with me. We'll look at longevity on that. I've had teams of 2 people. I mean, even at one time, Dennis and I were a team. It was hilarious. It was one of the funniest teams of all time. We should have had our own show, right? The Boston boys in California when nobody understands us. Then I went to a team of 3. Then I went to a team of 5. Then I went to a team of 10. Then I went to a team of 15. Then I went to a team of 30. Then I went to a team of 50. And I'm telling you, the most efficient team in real estate that you can have is a SEAL team 6. What do I mean by that? 1 rock star right-hand person and 5 people that all work together and have the same mindset. And I'm not saying 4 showing agents. You can decipher that any way you want. You could have showing agents, you could have listing agents, you could have buyer's agents. I always believed that I wanted to train everybody on everything I have ever learned over the last 30 years. I never want to hold back, or I don't want to keep somebody contained. When you limit what they're able to do, it creates limiting beliefs, and eventually they're going to leave. I'm more about how do I help you? How do I lift you up? How do I help you with your journey? This is my legacy. This is not about money. This is about legacy. I'm super proud of Bobby. Bobby started with me. You know, he was a manager at Foot Locker, came in, and I can't take the credit for it. Bobby manifested and worked his ass off and did all the things he needed to do. And look, now he's a rock star with his own team, but that gives me a lot of happiness because it shows me that I did a pretty good job guiding him and helping him on his journey, right? So that's a feather in my cap. I'm not taking all the credit because he had to really do all the work, and you have to do the work in order to be successful.
It's got to be a two-way street.
Yeah, the only
got to be a two-way street.
Comes before work is in the dictionary. That's it. No other place on earth. And that's a big, big thing, right? Now look at Bobby's got a hairline. He's got all types of great things going for him, right? He's got hair products on the market. He's teaching, he's training how to do your hair in the morning, how to dress. I mean, it's just fantastic. But those are my tips on teams. I don't want to take up all the time. I love what everybody had to say. And back to you, Mitchie.
That's great. Great stuff, Pete. And I know I'm going to take 1 minute here, then we're going to go to Randy, then we're going to go to Betty to finish it off. So if you're starting a team, you have to determine, are you starting your team because you want to make more money, or you would because you want to become more efficient? And I think a lot of people start a team to become more efficient, maybe leverage a little bit more, but they end up getting more of a babysitting role. I know, not to be negative, but that's what happens. So one of the things that I've done over the last 5 years, because I don't want to start another team at this stage of my life, because I'm the senior here, or the senior with no hair, but is I now, instead of showing buyers take the most amount of time, is I will pay buyer agents $25 per house and 10% bonus if they have a sale. So therefore, I'm keeping the majority of the money, but I haven't shown a house in 5 years. And I've probably sold about 100 homes in those 5 years from buyers. So I literally pay someone $25 because I'm efficient with my time. More important, my life is helping my agents grow their business, right? And helping, I'm honestly being a grandfather and playing in the bear with my grandkids and playing baseball with my grandson. That's the more important things in my life. So becoming more efficient in my life so I can work 35 hours a week is why I did this. So you have to rethink, are you starting for more money? Are you starting for this Pete said ego? I tell you, there's so many people I know that start teams because they want to be the big guy. And what they don't get that. I mean, they're the big guy to the 4 people on their team because they're brand new agents, but they're not the big guy at home anymore. So before you stop putting that on yourself, make sure that fits into your life as a family. All right, Randy, go ahead. You run a pretty big team. Go ahead, talk a little about it.
Yeah, I had experience of running my own brokerage. We got up to about 50, 60 agents. And from that experience, I would, if someone talks to me now and say, Randy, I'm considering starting a brokerage, I would honestly tell them, like, this is not the time to do it. Maybe if this was 20 years ago, I think that, the industry is very different. You're better off being part of whatever, Keller Williams, EXP, doesn't matter where, build a team underneath their platform, right? Because most of the big brokerages, they're going to give you everything you will need to succeed. The challenge is that agents just don't use the tools and resources provided by the companies. So that's number one. The way I do it now is it's all based kind of what Mitch said. It's what do you want out of your life in your current stage where you're at? I have I knew I wanted to grow a family, right? Which is now a reality. I have a 2-year-old and I have a 2-week-old, right? So knowing that that's going to be the place where I'm going to end up very soon. When I was looking at this a couple of years ago, when we moved to EXP, I started thinking on how do I organize this so I can have time freedom so I can be home. Because the reality is, like kind of what Bobby said, like being a top producing agent will require a lot of weekends, right? Can you sacrifice those weekends? Because something's got to give. It's either your family or whatever the important things are, or your work, right? But how do you manage both? Well, you're going to have to give up some money to buy your time back, right? So the way I did it is I was very honest with my brokerage. I never set it up in a way where I provide leads. And I was very honest with them from the beginning. They wanted to be part of our culture, right? So what was that like? What are you doing that's attracting the people to you? And of course, we had trainings and we had all those things and components. But I was right from the beginning, I would tell them, like, we don't provide leads, right? We will tell you how to go get leads. Here's the value proposition we bring as a team. And the ones that raised their hand, they joined us. And I do the same thing to this day. If I talk to an agent right now, first thing I ask them, I was like, are you a self-motivated, self-accountable? You could get inspired by yourself in the morning, or do you need me to call you every morning to get your butt out of bed so you can make the first phone call or do an open house? Which one are you? And it's okay to be either one. Neither one is bad. Some people need that person in their ear to motivate them. I was like, so I would ask them certain questions like that to see where do they fit. And then I would say, okay, great. So you say you're self-motivated, right? Okay, great. So then you would be good for my team because we don't provide you leads. But if you told me that I need more structure, I need accountability, I need all these things, great. Let me connect you with someone that has a structure like that, right? So I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not taking on those agents because I know that's a lot of burden on me, right? So if you're a new agent here listening, because I want to kind of flip the script too, think about yourself. Who are you? What do you need, right? And another question I ask, how soon do you need to make a paycheck? And if they are desperate and say, look, Randy, like I have like $5,000 left in my account, so maybe I have 2 months runway. I'm like, then either A, you get a job in the meantime, or 2, you join a team that has a structure that gives you leads. You'll make less money, but you'll have more leads, which eventually you'll actually make more money. So you'll make less money per lead, but you make more money in the long run because you're getting leads given to you. So if you follow their systems, you actually should be able to make a paycheck in 2 months. I was like, but that's not my team. So there's no reason for you to join my team, right? So I said, if you're desperate for money, people will smell it, will feel it, everything. So, and agents get so excited when they're new because they're new, they don't know any better. So if I'm one of you listening and you're newer, because we're all talking about building teams, but I also want to tell you, if you're looking to join a team, the one common theme we heard that a lot of us got burnt out. A lot of us got burnt by agents. Well, what can you do to avoid that? The one thing I would tell you is like, go up to one of these top producers in your area. It's like, look, what can I do for you that will make you more successful? And don't even ask for anything on the beginning. Literally just be like, look, I want to start at the bottom, and I understand it. And that's how I started. And that's how Jessica, who's on my personal team, I said, look, I'm going to pay you $500 per transaction. Here's the tasks I need you to do. If you do good on those, then I'm going to add more tasks, and I'm going to pay you $1,000. When you do good on those, then I'm going to pay you 25% of each transaction. When you handle that well, then we're going to go all the way up to 50. We are now at a 50% on every transaction that I bring for myself. So every client, she handles that. And that's my personal team. It's just me and Jessica, because I don't want to have all these other agents and be responsible for their success in lead gen. But then the self-organized team is the same way, like Matt Battiata said. I have a self-organized team, but when they come on my team, I tell them, I don't provide you leads. So if you need structure like that and you need leads, then you might want to talk to this team. They're better fit for you. So I think it's sometimes you saying no will get you somewhere further in terms of just your life freedom than you trying to bring everybody to you. Like most of us were saying, like, because you're doing it for your ego, right? So just kind of check yourself as a team leader. What is it that you're after? And then if you're a new agent, think about the team you want to join and what are you looking for, and be okay and be humble. The more humble you are and the better you do, I'm telling you, the top producers that you're hearing from here, they will rise you up. They will bring you along the journey if you do the work, and you're not the one that's like, you do 3 closings and you go to Pete and say, Pete, I think I deserve more now because I closed 3 deals. Like, no, we know when to give you more. If we're the good leaders, we will recognize that we have to give you more money. And trust me, if you stay humble enough, you will become one of like the Bobby Martins of Pete Middleton.
All right, good stuff. So Betty, unfortunately, we only have about a minute left for you to rock here.
I'll go quick.
Give us a minute of wisdom.
Yeah, so I've tried every team there was to try. I've made 10 people hundreds of people millionaires, not me though, right? So I have decided that as I watch all of the people that I've made successful and who built great teams, here are the 3 things that they all have in common. Number 1, they need an integrator on the team, because most of us are salespeople, DI personality. They've got to have an integrator. They don't have an integrator, the team is not going to work. The team has to feel like they belong, like their family. Those people that establish that kind of presence do make great, they keep their teams together. And I've seen that go so long. The third thing is accountability. The team is held accountable together, including the team leader. They do what you do. And the reason that all of my people have been so successful is because we had that accountability. Then they saw that they could do it on their own and went out on their own. And like Pete said, I'm just super proud of the people that I have been helpful in their career. So I have a lot more to say, but I know we're out of time. One other quick thing is Tom Ferry had 3 people that were making over $5 million on a panel. And he asked them how they began their teams. And they said they wrote down every single thing that an agent and a team had to do. And then they checked off the things they were good at, and they knew they had to hire to the rest of that. And that was the simplicity of it all. That's it.
That's great. That's great. Kim, I know you want to throw something in there. You got 16 seconds. Go for it.
Yep. Let's go real quick, guys. That was so amazing. All of you. One thing that's really funny is we've all made the same mistakes. We've all grown these massive teams, and now we've downsized into smaller because of the goal is revenue. One thing that it sounds like none of us have done yet, and we're all going to start doing this now, pre-record our training. So if you have a new buyer's agent come in, you have a new agent come in, whatever it may be, record the training with them. And then in the future, you can give that to the next person and it's exactly the same. Saves us so much time that what we're doing because we're going over the same stuff over and over.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Thanks, everybody. I know we're over time. And you guys all rock. We'll see you next Thursday when we talk about whatever we talk about, because I have no idea at this point. See ya.
Memorial Day.
See you guys.